MMA fans, welcome back to Carlo Perusa MMA. Today, I am with MMA fighter Mr. Tyler Zombie Hill ahead of his upcoming XFC contest against Handesson Ferreira. Tyler, you've been doing a lot of game-bred bare knuckle recently. Now you're going to go back to that world where you came from. You're going to put the gloves back on for traditional MMA match. XFC Detroit, Michigan this Friday. You excited to be able to get back in there and put the gloves on?
Yeah, man. I really do like bare knuckle, and I'm kind of committed to doing it. But this is a lot of familiar faces running this show, and a big opportunity came up. So, you know me, man. That's what I do.
It's kind of crazy when you look at this show. I think there's 4 of you guys who've been on game bred bare knuckle cards in the past. Your opponent, I believe, fought Carl Roberson when you fought Brandon Jenkins in Orlando. Alex Nicholson's on there. Carl Sumanatafa. You think it's kind of pretty cool that you get to fight alongside guys who played Carlos before?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it was a bunch of familiar faces were on there, and somehow the guy I'm fighting, I don't know. I never even have seen him before at the fight card. I've seen the guys he fought. I don't tend to really like mean mug stare other guys or whatever ever. I'm just there. But it's cool that we've been around the same cars. We've been in the same environments. So that means I'm at a point in my life and in my fighting where I'm going to take every fight probably. Like, and I'll say more about that later, but when this opportunity came up, it's a no-brainer for me. It's like an opportunity to challenge myself. I know I have the skills, and that's always been what it is for me, is realizing that I have what it takes to do this. I think I showed that in my last fight. It didn't go my way by the end of the fight, but it's like that sometimes. Regardless, I'm competing on the same level as this guy. This is where I'm supposed to be. I'm glad I'm in a position mentally where it was, yes, I'll take that fight. Hell yeah.
Now, when you're making that transition from bare knuckle to gloved MMA, I think you have a couple of things going in your favor. One, when you're focusing on bare knuckle, obviously the power is somewhat limited. You're looking more on accuracy on your strikes to avoid breaking hands. Do you think that's going to translate positively to them putting the gloves back on and maybe using a little more power?
Well, just the first thing I want to say is that we have been focusing so much on the, bare knuckle. What using your bare fist, like just my knuckles. What comes with that? What dangers for me, for the other person? Where can we maximize our potential to inflict damage? And you already said it is accuracy. We've spent so much time working on that. It's only going to benefit me in gloves. There's no way that, all right, you can stop your knuckles on a guy's chin, right on his beard hair over and over again. And like Alan, we practice weird shit like that where we'll be trying to like almost hit each other with our bare hands right on the chin. Maybe we've hit each other a few times on accident, but literally drilling like that. And if I do that with my bare hand, doing it with a glove, it's almost like I feel like I'm not going to feel as in danger.
You're coming off of a loss against Brandon Jenkins, and what a lot of people think is fight of the night at that game bred card in Orlando. I mean, what an absolute war.
Who got fight of the night? If that wasn't fight of the night,
I have no idea. I'm not sure, but in my opinion, it is Tyler Hill and Brandon Jenkins. I've been saying it for months. I think it's you guys. I'm not sure if they formally announced it, but I think you guys would be very hard to refute in that.
After Masvidal wins his boxing match, I'm gonna ask him who was fighting tonight. I'm like, bro, he's got $1 million. I know who was fighting tonight on the last card, and then I'll be like, all right. And if I don't know what's gonna happen, let me win this fight. That would be amazing, right? And that puts me in a position where I'd be like, okay, if y'all want me to beat somebody else, I'll fight whoever you want. I'll fight Anthony Njoku. I'll fight whoever you want. But I want to fight me and Brandon Jenkins talk. We want to fight again. Man, that's the point I'm trying to get to right now. Win some fights that probably like I'm not supposed to win, and then fight Brandon again because, dude, that was so much fucking fun.
I mean, that fight was totally a roller coaster. If I believe correctly, you were doing really well in the first round. I mean, you were winning, winning, winning. It looks like the third, you kind of gassed out a little bit. Brandon
Oh,
took
a lot,
advantage.
a lot good, a lot good.
Did you think of that first round? Were there any points you thought you could finish him there?
Every point. Well, I mean, once I hit him with uppercut against the cage, I thought, oh, this is it. I mean, I've knocked out a lot of people over my entire career, not more recently when I've been fighting really bad motherfuckers, but they're harder to knock out, crazy as that is. But I know how to find somebody and trap them and line their chin up and boom. And I did. And I knew I did. I knew I had him. And not before that moment, but right then. And then when he kept on fucking, getting out from under me when I'm uppercutting him in his eyebrows with my bare fist and his cheekbones, really, I was hitting him right here. And he might be the toughest guy I've ever punched in my life, And then, I tried to finish him the whole fucking round, and that's not smart. Any experienced fighter can tell you that was a mistake.
It's kind of crazy talking to both of you guys following the fight. I interviewed Brandon, and his eyes are basically swollen shut. Saw you at the gas station after. You didn't look as bad, but you could totally tell both of you guys were in an absolute dog fight. Are those your favorite type of fights?
Yeah, that's not. I knew what you were gonna say before you were done asking the question, and yes, because it breaks away all the fear. It takes all the fear away. Like, okay, it's funny to say this, but I'm almost scared to knock the other person out at the very beginning. It's like not scared to do it, but there's a feeling of hesitation or you're excited for it. You're waiting on it, but at the same time, you're like, you don't want to anticipate it because that's a mistake. You're not supposed to anticipate those things. So once you crack somebody, that's when the fight starts. Or once you get hit, a lot of people are like that. You get hit, then you're really fighting. And those fights are the ones where I get to see like what I'm really about. I did things in that fight with Brandon Jenkins that I worked on a lot. And then I did some things that I didn't work on at all that, turned out to be pretty cool. I'm never going to do that unless I'm really fucking focused. So that's what it takes. And that's what I'm doing in 6 days. That's all I'm worried about in 6 days. Focus like a motherfucker. And that's going to be where I have my best chance.
Now, overall, what do you think of Handesson as an opponent?
Well, okay. I had seen a picture of him doing like a jumping kick with Carl Robertson fight. And I was like, oh, damn, that's a big motherfucker. That's about like all I had ever thought about him because I didn't even see him before. And I thought he was a 185er. And then obviously now we're fighting. I'm a 170 guy, but Alan Belcher's been trying to get me to move up to 185 for fucking 7 years. And I don't want to because blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm finally at a point where I'm right there in that middle ground, and I feel like this guy's that too. So I'm going to get to fight somebody bigger than me. I'm excited about that. I'm always the bigger guy, and I think Handesson is going to be bigger than me. And then I watch his game bred fights, and I love it on the feet. He's a bad motherfucker on the ground. I've been grappling with bad motherfuckers for a while. I guess we're gonna find out what that looks like.
You just mentioned your buddy Alan Belcher, a guy that means a lot to you and a lot to your life. I believe, if I remember correctly, you met him out in Thailand once and started training with him ever since. What does that guy mean to you? And what is it like being able to train with him, compete aside with him, and go on this journey?
Well, it's at a point now, right? So like from the outside, I don't know what it looks like, but for me personally, I've been around the guy for so long that it feels really normalized. But you say I met him in Thailand, and I'm not going to go super deep dive on this, but like I met him in Thailand because I went there because I knew he was going there. And that's where I just will say, like, I've been doing this for so long. Like, I don't even remember what it's like to be alive, anything other than pursuing this, like, video game-like fight career or fight path. This motherfucker was going to Thailand and posted it on Instagram. I'm working in a kitchen in Oxford, Mississippi, work security, just went pro, got a little win streak going because we need rent money, and fuck it, I'm going to go to Thailand. And then I met the guy. He said, if you move, I'll get you a job. So I'll give you a job. And then now we're on this level where he told me, he said, man, when I met you in Thailand, you had this energy. You had this, like, you just were in the moment. And it's because, bro, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I just had a newborn kid. And I was like, I'm about to make something happen with this. I'm not going to go under. So it's been a long continuation of all the roller coaster of that.
So you just alluded to the point that you've been at this for so long. Online, it says your first amateur contest, 2009. And, you know, so many people follow combat sports in this day and age. So many people love it. It's mainstream. You know, 15, 20 years ago, this stuff was not as socially accepted as it is today. People still thinking it's crazy. In the early days, do you have any fight stories of maybe early promotions where they were unsafe fighting conditions, bad medicals, mystery opponents, anything crazy or wacky?
Everything. I've got everything. One really cool one that's fun for me. The main event of my first fight in Greenville, Mississippi at Harlow's Casino was Dustin Poirier versus I can't remember the guy's name. He wore masks and shit. It was around Halloween. He was like dressed up in a half mask, but Dustin Poirier beat his ass. He was like 4-0. I can remember I cut weight, but I really just starved myself for a few days. And I was sitting after weigh-ins, and I didn't know what the fuck to do. Like, I didn't feel good. I think you could tell that. And Dustin Poirier looked over at me. He's like, hey, bro, what are you doing? What are you eating? Are you rehydrating? And he, like, handed me some fruit or whatever. And, like, that seems so minuscule, but we knew who he was right when he was getting in the UFC, and just that momentum has kept going, right? This motherfucker's about to fight for the belt again. Every time I see him do something big, I'm like, oh shit, there's a connection there. And I don't know, me and you have talked a little bit. I believe some wild shit. And so just seeing all these things keep going, it's a lot of versions of that. But talking about random shit, I went to Thailand second time after I moved down to the coast, started training with Alan, and Brandon Davis had moved down. Jason Knight got in the UFC, and I flew to Thailand to fight. Like that. That was my ego trying to fucking be relevant with all of them, right? I'm going to go to Thailand to fight a Thai there. I got there. They put a poster all over Phuket, Thailand with me and the dude on there. And then I get there to fight, and it's not the same fucking guy. I'm looking at the guy, and I'm like, look at my trainer, Kunchin, and I was like, bro, who the fuck is that? He's like, oh, you're going to fight him. I said, yeah, well, that's not who was on the poster. Who's he? He's like, oh, he's a pro fighter from around here. I said, how many fights has he had? He said, 120. I said, like 120, 120? Motherfucker, I've had like 12 MMA fights. This is my first Muay Thai fight. So that was a pretty wild one. But, yeah, that was probably the best one I got.
You know, in addition to fighting on Game Bread at different regional promotions, you fought in Bellator, you fought in the PFL, you've also fought on the Dana White Contender Series. What was that moment like when you got the phone call giving you the opportunity to fight on the Contender Series?
That's funny because I was thinking about that literally fucking 2 days ago, and I don't know if I've thought about that in years because I was just remembering I had just gotten back from Thailand a little bit before that, and just won a really hard fight and then a easier fight. You know, it's like that. You take hard fight, easy fight. So I was starting to learn like the business side of being a fighter. You don't just fight the toughest motherfucker. And I've gotten in the habit of doing that. Maybe that's why my record's fucking 11-7 and 12-9, but whatever. I fought tough guys. And the path of going through that, you learn that you got to play the game just right to get there. You got to know the right people. Anyway, it worked out like that. I think, just because the team I was on and my record, I got there, I went and did that. Bro, I was so fucking scared in every fight I ever had. Like, to the point that I can't even think when I'm walking out to the cage. And Bellator was rough. I was the swing bout. I remember I warmed up fucking 3 times for that fight. And I was coming off of that pretty recently, and I was the first fight of the night. I was the blue corner, so I'm the underdog. I remember fucking Lorosenko looking at me going, all right, you're walking in 5, 4. Bro, I had a fucking panic attack so hard. Like, I was about to throw up the whole time. Nobody knows that. Nobody can ever tell that. And I mean, I can't even really remember it. I was probably taking some fucking chemical to put in my body to make me not be able to tell as much, right? I've been pretty open about that. I've done a lot of shit the wrong way earlier on. And that was the time that happened, that nobody would believe. It's like, what? You were fucked up when you fought on Contender Series? Maybe. But that amount of pressure, like, that's why I'm where I'm at now. Taking a fucking fight with this bad motherfucking Brazilian on a week's notice, fine. I'm a fighter. Let's do it. I'm going to show up and fucking fight. That's why they gave me the fight. They know that.
You know, you just alluded to it. You've been very public, and we've talked about it, how you've been able to overcome struggles, addiction issues, with your love of fighting. You know, you've mentioned to me in Orlando that this stuff, competing, training, takes you away from all that stuff you used to get engaged to and allows you to help provide for your 3 daughters, your wife, and pursue this journey. How important is the sport of mixed martial arts to you in overcoming those challenges?
Well, the first thing to say is like, okay, do I want to be open about it? Fuck no, I don't want to tell people that, like, I was basically a liar, because that's what it is. But the problem is nobody talks about it because it's embarrassing. Nobody fucking talks about it. Even the people who get past it. Like, I feel, and I know that anybody who has problems that I have, you have to be on top of this shit every day. I have to be on top of this today, literally. Look at this beautiful day out here. I'm in the fucking country on the edge of the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, and this would be a fucking way better if I was fucked up on opiates, you know? And it's like, you can never get rid of that. Well, if I'm talking to you about it and I'm telling, you know, I was over at Alan Belcher's the other day. We were doing paddleboard yoga. The guy showed up. I'd never met him before. It's kind of weird. I started talking to him. And like 3 sentences in, I'm like, bro, I've had a lot of fucking struggles with substances in my life, so don't put me up on some pedestal. This motherfucker's eyes were like, and he's like, what substances? And I was like, fucking opiates and alcohol mostly. And he was like, dude, that's the same thing I have a problem with. And he just started dumping his fucking life out, you know, what he's dealing with. And like, I don't mind that. It's fine. I'm dealing with my own life. I got fucking a bunch of kids, like you said, that I'm trying to raise. But if I got the time of day, I'll listen to somebody. The reason all that came out is because he saw somebody that was like him. Well, there's people like this all around us. Fucking, I don't even want to give you a percentage because I would be making it up, but it's large. Like 50% since COVID, I would say, or having some substance abuse or mental health crisis type of thing. If you've got to put something in your body every day to be happy and interact with other humans, there's a fucking problem. Like, and it needs to be addressed. And that's the thing, we're not addressing it. So just to say that at the beginning, that's why I'm like this. That's why I'll talk about it.
You know, one thing that really stuck out that you told me in Orlando, following your fight, is an hour before the fight, an hour and a half, you love the feeling of knowing, what the hell am I doing? What am I about to be doing right now? Why am I doing this? How do
Okay.
you enjoy that?
Well, that feeling is the same fucking feeling of, and I hate to use words like clean and all this shit, relapse, but I do it because even though I wasn't like a hardcore, like I wasn't on fucking heroin or anything, but even though it wasn't like that, I still like to put myself in that category because you're not any better. Stop telling yourself you're better. So, because you're making the same fucking mistakes, and it's here. It's not just like what is happening in the rest of your body. But fighting's the same thing. Fighting to me is a version of the same thing. It's something that I don't. Okay, you have like 2 things going on up here. You have like your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. You've got like the bullshit you tell all your friends, and then you've got like how you feel when a grizzly bear is about to eat you. Those are 2 different constructs of the mind. So, and I'm not going to get all fucking crazy talking like that, but fighting is the same thing. When you are backstage warming up, you can tell yourself that oh man, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start with my double jab, then I'm gonna throw this super fucking hard kick, and then you're walking to the cage, and if you don't have a method to keep your intrusive thoughts, your worries at bay, under control, they're gonna eat you alive. You're not gonna know what the fucking word double jab means by the time you get out there. If you're me, well, I've learned how to deal with that, and basically, you're dealing with the same thing, like I said, you deal with in your life if you're a fucking person that likes to use substances to find happiness. It's impulses. It's just thoughts firing. Thoughts. It's just like chemicals at the base of your brainstem. But don't listen to them. You got to learn how. And there's a lot of ways how.
You know, when I covered your fight in Biloxi, when you fought James Freeman, one thing I noticed the entrance, you came out with your wife as well as your kids. And I looked at the buddy with me and I'm like, there's no way this guy's about to lose this fight. How much motivation do you get from them walking down there with you?
It's weird. It's like, I hadn't done it that many times, but I had decided that I was doing it that time because when I have them with me, like whether it's at the gym or in public, anywhere, I carry myself differently, and I don't know. I put things in priority properly. I'm not gonna get. They did a fucking 20-minute commercial before the fight, showing the main event and all that, and I was literally standing there to walk out, and I was like, "Oh, perfect. This is going to be a great opportunity for me to see if I can really focus on my breath right on the moment and not fall off into that that conscious thoughts of, oh fuck, what if this happens? No, we're not doing that. And I challenged myself to do that in front of my wife and kids because they were standing behind that curtain with me, and I just sat down on the floor. And that's every day now. That's how I operate through my life. I never get mad and like, rah! I mean, like maybe one time if all my kids are screaming for like 4 hours straight. But in my regular life, somebody cuts me off in traffic, I'm not mad. I'm not going to express anything. Somebody at the gym is just being a dick. I'm going to just kind of let them and not, I'm even going to still smile at them. And that's all so new and took 3 years of like practicing.
You know, you looked really sharp in that fight, obviously pulling off the win. After the fight, a little scary moment there. Your opponent was down, it seemed, for like 5 or 6 minutes. What was that like for you?
Afterwards, it sucked because somebody told me about it. At the time, I had no idea. I didn't even see him after the fight was over. Once the fight was over, I got to the place that I had been like envisioning for a long fucking time. And, I thought I was still going to be there now. I had no intention of losing my last fight. And it's okay that I'm not. That means I have to go through the whole process again and learn something. That means I didn't learn something I was supposed to. It's cool. I already know what it was. But I just got to a place where I knew that I was going to be at that win after losing a fucking ass load of fights in a row. And like some people are okay with losing. I'm not that motherfucker. I'm just not. I hate losing a fight because that's time away from my family. I go to the gym obsessively and don't to the point it's like a problem. Like, Tyler, stay home. I don't want to sign up for that for half money. I mean, you see, I'm at a fire department. I love what I do, but this isn't for. I have my 4th daughter on the way, bro. Like 4. I don't even know what life I'm in anymore, but I love it.
Well, congratulations. I didn't know that. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Fuck social media. I don't really. I post it to like so people know that I'm like doing good since I've been fighting more, but that shit doesn't really matter to me. I hadn't even posted it on anywhere. I'm actually living it right now, like trying to go get it what we need to make that all successful.
You know, so many people watch the sport, but very few, I think, realize unless they've seen it and been in it, the sacrifices that each and every mixed martial artist needs to go through. And, I was talking to Brendan Schaub at the event, and he made a good point. He was reminiscing on his time in fighting and being back in the fighter hotel for the first time since he retired. And he brought up the point, the dark side of MMA. And in the interview, he did reference you. He said, there was someone from the fighter meeting who had 3 kids, told me this is how he provides for his family. If they win, if I win, I lose. That's going to affect the money. It's going to affect how they eat. That's going to affect what we do. What is it like?
That affects what you do when you get a screenshot of fucking a guy that is super cool with me and is giving me a lot of fights, but he posts that he has a guy that's 20-5 or whatever, and they need somebody to fight him on 7 days or 8 days notice. This is what that looks like in real time. This is what not finishing a guy in the first round. You know how many times I've thought about that? Like, oh wow, if I'd have won my last fight, none of the financial hardships that I'm dealing with at the moment would be here. On the same fucking day that I was having those thoughts and deciding that I wasn't going to be mean, wasn't going to mistreat anybody, wasn't going to walk around sulking just because I've got this much money I'm supposed to pay and I can't, this shows up. Same day, same fucking day, 15 minutes afterwards. I get off the phone with my wife. I tell her, if there is anything I can do about this, I'll do it. I'm going to figure it out. Anything. 15 minutes later, this shows up. It's like, okay, so this is what it looks like. This is life in real time of what you're talking about. Like, maybe I'm supposed to go through the dark side of this shit to learn all the stuff I have to learn to get past everything we've already talked about. And I believe that.
For you being able to take fights on short notice like that, is that just a testament of the importance to train year round and always be ready and active?
Bro, I have mental, I don't want to say, I'm very in my center, calm, take care of my kids, be a dad, look really happy. But if you put me in a room by myself for a little while, it's going to be fucking nasty in my head fast. And it doesn't even make sense. And training, pushing myself physically, burning all my body's energy, whatever it is, makes that go away. Now I'm around guys, the people I train with, it's a lot centered around Alan. And I mean, the dude's just a bad motherfucker that likes the same shit as me and has helped me a lot in my life. So yeah, I'm around him a lot. It's nothing really more than that. I don't give a fuck if he has a belt or not. But that's what I'm doing every day. I'm going to be around those people to better myself. This whole fighting shit is about bettering myself. If I didn't have the fear of fighting some big ass Brazilian, it's going to try to blast my head in like a coconut, what's going to make me show up every single day and try to be on time, and try to make sure I'm nutritionally where I need to be and hydrated properly and everything it takes to keep up with these motherfuckers.
In addition to Alan Belcher, I mean, there are plenty of very high level fighters that stem from where you are in Mississippi. I mean, the list goes on here. Obviously, Jason Knight, Brandon Davis,
Dave
Sherman, Monica Medina. I mean, you can mention more and more. What's it like to have crossed those guys' paths and been able to train with some of them on a consistent basis?
I guess the second time my life really fell apart. Maybe it was the third or maybe it was the 10th. But let's just say it was the second. It was the end of my college run, and I had gotten a girl pregnant and I didn't have anywhere to live. And so I moved in with a guy I'd been training with and had some amateur fights where we trained together and shit. And we started just training together every single day. We didn't really fucking train with anybody else. And that was Brandon Davis. So, and we moved in together. I lived with him until almost I moved down to the coast. And then I moved him down here after that because I was like, dude, this is going to be where you get opportunity. And all that has happened now. And, yeah, I'm 32 years old. Just because I've been fighting since I was 17, don't get me wrong. My body can feel some of the shit I put it through, but I'm not old. And I can't think of a reason not to fight for as much money as I can, as frequently as I can. And I think all of us just feel that way. We've been through hell since we were kids, most of us.
Obviously, we can see the fire truck behind you. How did you get into the fire department?
Well, this is where the transparency is going to come on that might not have years ago. I just was a real piece of shit at times in my life. And what I mean by that is like very selfish, very self-centered, egotistical. And I mean, I wasn't as aware of those things then as I am now. But this was like something that a friend of mine that was also a fighter said, "Hey man, I think this would be really good for you." And he was a guy that always made me feel, pretty good, made me feel better about myself. I was like, all right, this is a good person. First place I ever started training was a engine bay. We sparred on the fucking concrete. Like I remember dropping somebody the head kick and then landing on the engine bay floor in Greenwood, Mississippi. But it just all ties together. It made sense. And now I drive the truck, and I've only been doing this for a little less than 5 years. But I drive the truck. I'm good medical. That's crazy. But I get to like pick up old ladies and shit, and I think it like evens the karmic scales a little bit. And then every now and then I get to look at somebody who I just gave Narcan that OD'd, and they're like, I'm sorry," and I'm like, look, well, just fucking quit being sorry to me and start being sorry to yourself that you've put yourself in this position. Now, there's a lot of ways to get out. Here, think about these. I've got to do that a few times.
Are you working at the same department that Chase Sherman worked at?
It's like 15 minutes away. Chase was in like the big hood city. I'm in like the little small town.
So, when you first got into this world of combat sports, did you ever envision it to blow up to the point where it is now?
Fuck no. I never thought I'd go pro. Like I remember when I started, I think I was like 11-1 as an amateur. I was fighting like a guy that was 17-0, and they were like, "You gonna go pro if you win this fight?" And I was like, "No, I don't ever want to go pro." And then I started like asking for unreasonable amounts of money to ever go pro because I knew I'd never get it, and I was too scared, bro.
At one point before the Contender Series, and a little after that, you're regarded as a top prospect of the sport. You mentioned you're only 32 years old now. There's a lot more fighting you can do in your career. Do you still have the aspirations to maybe do the UFC or climb your way to the bigger shows?
No, I mean, not even a little bit. And what I mean by that is I focused on that for so long, it didn't work. That my ego just was trying to catch up to this bullshit image I created in my head. I just need to focus on one day at a time, and I like to fight because it is very challenging for me. And I mean, actually, I'm impressed by what I can do now compared to what I could. Like I've got hands now. I can throw my hands like a motherfucker, and it took so much practice, but that was the thing that I had to use to focus on my breath and go when I'm really tired, really long rounds, hitting a double end bag and stuff. I just really fell in love with that. And so I want to see what I can do with it. I can't help but say that I plan on being on a win streak right now. The 2 fights that I've lost out of my past 3, I was beating the dude's ass at one point. No offense to either opponent, both super cool guys. I feel I should have won both of them. I think I should be on a 5-fight win streak, but I think what got me here where I'm not, bad decisions. And it's a trickle down effect. You think that my body's still not being affected by things I was doing 2 years ago? I mean, less than 2 years ago. I'm gonna get there, bro. I'm gonna get there, and where I'm going is not as important as how I get there.
You have a really interesting nickname, the Zombie. Chan Sung John, Korean Zombie, former UFC guy, have the same nickname. Why do they call you that?
Originally came from a guy named Will Whitlow in Memphis, Tennessee, and his brother. They're first people taught me Muay Thai, really, and I just wouldn't move my head. I didn't learn head movement till like 2022, and now I have pretty good head movement, I think. And I mean, go watch my last bare knuckle fight in round 1 and 2. I don't think I got hit but like twice in the wide open. And that was non-existent. I didn't understand it. I couldn't understand like the concept of like drawing shapes with your head and using your body and balancing. None of that. Nothing. So I think that's pretty much it. And then I would just get hit a lot, and I'm really fucking hard-headed, and I would keep coming forwards, and that's the whole story, right? And I would usually win. I didn't lose so much until more recently, and again, I'm not afraid to admit that because it's like I don't plan on continuing to do it.
You know, in about 6 days, you were back in action, XFC, going to Detroit, Michigan. What's the mindset right now? When are you going to start really feeling it that you have a fight coming up?
Well, I mean, you know, the moments like weigh-ins and stuff, I'm gonna let myself have nerves because that's part of it. That's the fuel, dude. The nervousness is part of the extra brain focus fuel that you can use if you learn how to harness it. It'll make you have a fucking panic attack if you don't. It's just an excess of energy. I'm gonna keep that shit under control. I'm gonna hone it in. I'm gonna try to center it like right here, and then by the time we get in the locker room, I'm gonna start practice putting my fist right there, and then I'm going to try to do it in the fight. I'm going to try to knock him out.
All right, Tyler, last question for me. In a perfect world, what goes down next Friday when you take on Handesson Ferreira at XFC Grand Prix 2 in Detroit, Michigan?
When I drop him with a punch, I don't lose my composure and run in and use all my energy, and I win the fight by whatever means necessary, whether it's a decision, a submission. I don't care after that.
Well, Tyler, my man, I wish you nothing but the best. Sorry for keeping you so long today, but appreciate you sitting down, my man.
Thank you, man. It was good talking to you, Carlo.